Hello, all of my library patrons and other self-quarantining readers. This is Jessica from the Troy Public Library. I hope everyone is staying safe and healthy and also sane. If you're like me, you might be starting to go a little stir-crazy, stuck at home with nowhere to go. So I'm here to help by giving you some reading recommendations that'll let you go on an adventure right from the comfort of your own home. The first adventure novel I would like to recommend to you is one that I just finished. It's The Moor's Account by Layla Lalami. It is a story about an actual historical expedition into Florida and along the Gulf of Mexico in the 16th century by Spanish explorers, but it's told through the eyes of a Moroccan slave belonging to one of the Hidalgos. It's an excellent meditation on humanity and survival and the erosion of social norms in extreme circumstances. And it also does a great job of highlighting this person, this slave, who uh, definitely existed in history, but whose life and whose account has completely been left out of the historical narrative. The next book I want to recommend to you is The Hike. This is a very different sort of adventure novel. Really, this is a drastically different book from anything else I've ever read, so it's kind of hard to describe because it's hard to find a basis for comparison. But the premise of the book is that a pretty average guy goes on a routine work trip, and having some time to kill, he decides to hike the trails around his hotel. He ends up getting lost and finds himself in an alternate world inhabited by giant bugs, a talking crab, a man eating giantess, and all different forms of undead monsters. It's a strange and delightful read. Like I said, it's unlike anything else I've ever read, so if you feel like you're in sort of a reading rut, this is a great book to break you out of it. For a high fantasy adventure novel, I would like to recommend Dragons of Autumn Twilight by Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman. Weiss and Hickman would go on to write many Dragonlance novels, but this one is the first and arguably the best. It's sort of similar to a lot of other high fantasy adventure novels that I'm sure you've heard of if you haven't already read. Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones are also great books if you want to go on an adventure without having to leave your house. But Dragons of Autumn Twilight is a little more esoteric, so even if you're a fantasy nerd like me, you might not have heard of this one. It's sort of everything you would expect from a high fantasy adventure novel. It's about a group of unlikely heroes. They explore the world, they go after magical relics, they meet all sorts of different people and strange creatures. It's more of a feel-good fantasy novel than Game of Thrones or even Lord of the Rings. It's a little bit corny as well in comparison to those series, but I think it's corny in a way that is very endearing. And then, if none of that appeals to you, maybe you're looking for something nonfiction. And if you're looking for a nonfiction adventure, you're probably going to go to some travel literature. When it comes to travel literature, I cannot recommend Bill Bryson highly enough. He's one of my favorite authors. If you're starting out reading Bill Bryson, I think that A Walk in the Woods is a great place to start. It's about Bryson's account of hiking the Appalachian Trail. Um, he shows real interest and adoration for the Appalachian Trail and the people who hike it, but he's also very humorously aware of the inconveniences of through hiking in the wilderness, and he's not afraid to talk about that aspect of it as well. That's sort of Bill Bryson's charm. He does a great job of blending fact and history and genuine adoration for the places he visits with sarcasm and witty observations that sometimes make you glad that you get to sit home and read about it without having to deal with the inconveniences of travel. Also by Bill Bryson, if A Walk in the Woods doesn't sound up your alley, I would recommend Neither Here Nor There, which is about his travels in the European continent. Notes from a Small Island, which is about traveling in the UK, and In a Sunburnt Country, which is Bryson's account of traveling through Australia. I only just started In a Sunburned Country, but I am enjoying it immensely. Those are my recommendations to you. I hope that one of the books I recommended appeals to you, but if it doesn't, please look for the other videos made by the other librarians at TPL. Hopefully one of them will recommend something that sounds good to you. I hope I am able to see all of you at the library in person sooner rather than later, but obviously we will not be opening our doors until it is safe to do so. So in the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay sane. Have a great day, everyone.